Hey guys, what's up? Unrested here. I've got the camera kind of at an angle where it feels like you're sitting next to me right now and I'm talking to you. I got the microphone on today. I finally remembered the microphone. Sometimes I've been messing up this microphone. Excuse me, I just coughed right into it. Sometimes I've been messing up and you see how it's kind of like a tube? Well, one side's right side and one side's left side. And if the tube kind of like goes sideways like this, then you only get one side of your speakers playing out my voice afterwards because only one side records. And I apologize for that. I am an idiot with sound, and I am still learning quite a bit. Um, Check out my cool Bluetooth headphones. You know what I'm finding with Bluetooth headphones? If you want to get earbud Bluetooth headphones, you're very limited on your selection as far as high quality. If you want to get wired headphones, you could pay like $300 and get some sick headphones with like a really deep driver. But unless you're gonna get, the big, gigantic, you know, ear headphone things that cover your whole ear like earmuffs, you're not gonna find that high quality of sound. Kind of disappointed. A little bit disappointed, guys. But maybe you guys know something better I should get, and feel free to put that in the comments. Um, So, today's topic, JFAC. Let's get on to it, Scott, instead of rambling on about stuff people don't want to hear about. Um, Cleaning in the classroom. This was an interesting topic that was brought up to me maybe yesterday, I think I saw it. Someone was bringing up the topic of do Japanese kids actually have to clean up their own classrooms in Japan? And to that, I want to answer yes. It is true. That is a tradition in Japan. Um, but I want to get into the details of it because it's not quite as it appears, as you've maybe seen in a documentary on life in Japan, or perhaps even an anime where the kids clean the classroom. Everything pretty much that you see in those animes really does go down as far as like, you ever see where they like hold the wet wipe or the wet rag, and then just like head first, like almost like bowing to the floor, run across the floor with the rag out in front of them. There are schools that still do that. They like don't use a mop. They don't see a reason to use a mop, and they literally get kids to line up in rows and like run down. Um, in some schools, they make the elementary schools do it. Most elementary schools do it. Junior high schools tend to do it. As far as I know, the high schools I taught at, they did not do it. They actually had a janitor, but I could be wrong because I only taught at like two high schools, so maybe it was only those two high schools. If someone knows different, correct me if I'm totally wrong. Those were public high schools, though. They weren't private, though, so if I'm wrong, please let me know. Please tell me. Say, Scott, no, that must have just been the exception for your school. Our kids had to clean. Um, and pretty much as you see as it goes, like things like smacking the erasers together to clean the dust out, wiping the board, sweeping up, a lot of sweeping going on. And if you work as an ALT or in the JET program, you might be asked to do this as well. And I want to say to you right now, if you're going to represent your country as a gaijin in Japan, or just yourself as a gaijin or other gaijin, please don't make a fuss and say you're not going to do that. I have met multiple gaijin who talked about how their employer wasn't happy with them because they wouldn't participate in the cleaning of the school. And they were really surprised by this. They're like, I signed a contract to be a teacher. I did not sign a contract to be a janitor, so I do not understand why they would expect me to help clean the school. Okay, first of all, dude, you were not hired to be a teacher. You were hired to be an ALT, an assistant language teacher. You assist the teacher. You also assist the students in learning. You also assist the teacher and the students in anything else they do. That teacher that you're assisting also has to clean. So you should assist her in that cleaning or him in that cleaning and do whatever else they ask you to do as far as the task. I've had people complain that they had to cut out like picture cards or cut out word cards and laminate stuff. They're like, that's not what a teacher does. Oh, really? What does a teacher do? How do you think those cards got laminated before you got there before? Do you think that teacher didn't do it by herself, or the other guy teacher didn't do it by himself? I mean, come on. I guess they have this kind of weird imaginative job where I guess they have a personal TA working for them as they teach like a professor, like the highfalutin English language that they speak. Um, that's not how it works. I'm not sure what contract you signed, but I'm quite sure it did not say that in the contract. I mean, mind you, if you do work the JET program, you are getting paid nicely, and your accommodations are nice, and you're living a pretty good life. If you're working as an ALT, which is a little bit different, it's not sponsored by the government, probably the opposite is true. You're not getting paid very nicely. You're not living very nicely. Unless you work for a decent ALT company out there. There are some decent ones that take care of you. But for the most part, you get treated pretty rough by these ALT companies. Anyway, cleaning. Let's get back to it. A little bit of tips and tricks. First of all, one of the first things that really surprised me about cleaning, when I have to clean with the students, is they don't want to clean. They really don't want to clean. As far as you seeing them being super obedient and doing everything the teacher says and studiously cleaning the classroom, that's bullshit, okay? They don't want to clean just like every kid doesn't want to clean. I mean, understandably so. Number one, they're at a place they don't really enjoy that much. It's school, you know. Yeah, I mean, some kids really love school, but for the most part, some kids kind of dread it too. I guess it's a hate-love relationship. It was with me too. There were some things I really loved and some things I really hated. But it's not their own personal house, and I mean, if you have to clean more than your own personal house, it's kind of like, you know, if you have to clean at work, you're at least getting paid. If you have to clean at house, you at least get to live there. If you have to clean at school, who the fuck cares, alright? Yeah, so you kind of got to give them a little bit of, you know, a nudge and a push, like, come on, let's keep going, look, I'm cleaning, you should clean too. And usually you got to tell them this in Japanese, because most of those kids speak zero English. But here's one thing that really surprised me, is you can't move things with your feet in Japan. Even things like a trash can, which it's holding trash, so you would think it's not that valuable of an vessel, if you will. But even that is very rude to do. Don't move things with your feet. Even if there's like toys on the floor that you have to clean up at a kindergarten, don't like push them all together with your feet. That's seen as like very bad manners. So my first little tip for you, because I notice this does come up when you are in the middle of cleaning stuff a lot, is using your feet. As Americans, maybe other Western English-speaking countries too, we tend to use our feet to just kind of push stuff together. Of course, sometimes we're even wearing our shoes, which we wore outside, which to the Japanese would just be, oh my god, that's disgusting. Because I want you to think about this, okay? And when you hear the Japanese take on this, you'll be like, holy shit, they're right, that is kind of disgusting. The reason Japanese people don't wear their shoes inside, and a lot of people just think like, oh, because they don't want to tear up the tatami mat. Yeah, that's part of it, that's part of it. But not every house has tatami mat, let's be honest, right? Tatami mat's that straw mat, you've seen it woven together. That's, you know, that's pretty old school. Not many houses carry that anymore. The main reason Japanese people don't wear their shoes inside the house, they leave them pretty much at the threshold, the genkan, the foyer, whatever you want to call it, okay, is because your shoes walk on the same ground that dead people are buried in and animals shit on. Think about that. Dead people are buried on there. Now, of course, we don't have a fucking horse and carriage walking up and down the street anymore, shitting everywhere, I understand. But dead people are still buried in the ground. No matter where you live, there's dead people in the ground, okay? I mean, unless you're in, like, New Orleans and, you know, you've got to have above-ground mausoleums. You're walking on dead people. You're walking on death. Okay, you're walking on where people are buried. Why do you want to track that into your house, son? Right? Why do you want to track that into your house? Now, your mind is blown, isn't it? Your mind. Now, those of you who already knew, you're like, yeah, Scott, I knew, whatever. But the rest of your mind's blown. You're like, holy shit. What the fuck am I doing dragging dead people's shit into my house? So, it makes sense. So anyway, don't move stuff with your feet. Definitely don't move stuff with your shoes. Usually you're going to have to change your shoes when you go to work at a school too. You're not going to be wearing the shoes that you walk to school in, into the school. Now, you can usually get your own locker. That's the nice thing. So you're not going to have to carry a goddamn set of shoes every day. Some people do that. If you want to, that's fine. Usually you have a locker and you can keep your indoor shoes in there and your outdoor shoes in there as well. So you switch them out, you put them in a locker. You step down into a giant genkan area on the way out. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, genkan is pretty much the shoe leaving area, the area in which you place your shoes. That's Genkan. It's the Japanese word for pretty much foyer. 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 I don't know. I don't know why. Why do some people say foyer and some people say foyer? Are they both correct? Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm off on a tangent once again. Cleaning. So don't move stuff with your feet. Clean with the rest of the class. Help clean. Usually, now if you're wondering how it works, you're like, well, what do? I just have to tell the whole school to clean? No, usually you're actually assigned to a class to a homeroom that you're going to go with and ask them to clean with you. And usually you're only assigned one classroom, and usually that classroom doesn't change. Some schools I've seen that they have like kind of a rotating thing where like maybe you'll be cleaning a different area each semester or even each month, or but the schools I worked at, they just stayed in one classroom for the whole year, and we always just were assigned that classroom. And if you get asked to clean, just do it, okay? If you can't adapt to that small aspect of Japan, then Japan probably isn't for you. Okay? Anyway, guys, it's a little bit about cleaning here and the great big red dot in the middle of that white rectangle. I'm Unrested. If you like what you saw here today, please like, comment, and subscribe, and send me any future questions you would have for JFAC. Please just kind of check, though, and see if I've already answered. Maybe I have. I've done about like 400, 500 JFAQs at this point, so I might have answered it already. But, you know, your questions are always, always very great, very wanted, and always needed to make these shows. Thank you so much.